Horizon Zero Dawn's themes are immediately apparent. It's an incredibly intriguing mix of prehistoric tribal man set against a lush world retaken with technology, including laser-wielding, artificially intelligent mechanical beasts. You see these two aesthetics blended perfectly throughout the world and atmosphere in Horizon. Bows and arrows made of wood, plastic, and metal, rabbits standing next to mechanical beasts. Every aspect of Horizon seems to have that same mix, part laser show, part sunset. Separately, these two themes are so pervasive in media that certain imagery immediately comes to mind. Cave paintings and earth tones, clean-cut lines and glowing shades of blue. It would be easy for either one of these to veer into cliché tropes. But together, there's a chance for something a little more fresh, which is why it's a bit disappointing that the UI never quite balances the two aesthetics. Overall, Horizon's UI is both consistently and competently executed, if not a bit uninspiring at times. There are many graphical elements showing an elegant level of restraint, and yet others that feel like they're missing a little bit of that excitement seen throughout all of the other aspects of the game. When you first jump in, you'll quickly notice that all of the on-screen elements lean heavily on that prehistoric tribal aesthetic. Almost all icons have a chalk-like textured edge to them, and your menus sit atop the backdrop of a cave wall. The aesthetic focuses so heavily on the prehistoric side of things that you begin to wonder if it's intentional for the story. I could easily see it argued that you are Aloy, living in Aloy's world. They may use pieces of tech, but they don't understand it. Nevertheless, there are areas of Horizon's UI that absolutely could push the futuristic theme more and strike a better balance for the overall interface, and for some reason don't. And the thing is, the game already has areas it's applying that futuristic look to, and an in-game reason for it. Aloy has a sort of detective vision mechanic, seen in games like The Witcher 3 or Batman, and it paints part of the world and enemies around her. It's literally an augmented reality eyepiece, and looking at enemies pops up a small, digitized-looking purple box with data on that enemy. It's clear that this purple box is diegetic. It's something Aloy sees, it's her own HUD, it's in her world. And its style unfortunately appears nowhere else in the UI, even in places you'd expect. When roaming the world, there are plenty of world markers that appear in front of you with meter gauges. There's campsite markers. There's loot drop indicators. All three would make perfect sense as elements Aloy would see on her HUD. Not only that, but the icons for these elements already break the aesthetic mold from other areas of the game. While almost all graphic elements have that chalk-like textured edge, these are crisp, something you'd expect from a digital visor. I could see these icons taking on that purple tint color, maybe having a digital haze-like effect, like Aloy's augmented HUD. This could look especially nice for the loot drop indicators. Of course, it would be easy to go overboard, make everything a little too digitized, or even lose readability on some of the icons because of those sorts of effects. But considering how vital futuristic technology is to Aloy's adventure, and considering how she's already using it, I would have loved to have seen the aesthetic manifest itself a bit more across the UI. Again though, Horizon's UI is quite polished and very competently executed, and the designers show a level of elegance and restraint in many areas. Take Aloy's health bar. It's a minute detail, but health bars are something that end up looking gaudy in so many games. They're usually a bright, contrasting red, and often are surrounded with large, obtrusive borders. Aloy's health bar is a desaturated orange, a color you could conceivably see used in cave paintings. It's a simple rectangle with only a slightly textured edge. It's not overtly trying to look like something. It's not a tree branch that recedes as you die. It's not screaming your current health at you with bright colors. It's confident and clean, and this confidence extends to most other aspects of the UI and the game itself. But that same restraint, when used everywhere, can lead to the UI feeling a bit flat in an otherwise magical and mysterious world. You get pops of interest here and there again. For example, the enemy walking past that Aloy's HUD shows, or when you're low on health, your health potion button buzzes with a soft green, a really nice effect visually and quite helpful in-game. Those bits of added interaction design are few and far between though, and what we're left with for the most part is a polished UI that can't quite stand toe-to-toe with the world it's framing. And on that note, I'm not arguing that the UI should be more in your face, or that it should always be moving or glowing or anything to that effect. People already have an aversion to too many HUD elements, and with good reason. It's easy to overwhelm a player and give too much unnecessary information, and Horizon has been criticized by others for a lot of HUD. In my opinion, for the most part, the HUD makes sense and is very well reasoned, and the only widget that seems fairly unnecessary is your XP bar, which even for the hardcorest of RPGs doesn't need to be seen at all times. Horizon needs to be commended though, because its HUD is entirely editable. Every element can be turned on, turned off, or made to dynamically fade in and out only when needed. It's a really nice feature that should leave everyone happy, and more games should absolutely take advantage of it. In terms of usability, the menu system is where things could use the most improvement. You'll spend a fair amount of time navigating your crafting and bag menus, and as always for RPGs like this, speed and readability is key. With bags, you usually end up with nested menus and subcategories. Horizon handles this with a 3 to 4 panel category to subcategory layout, kind of like most modern-day email programs. Every element of the menu is well executed. The main typeface used in the game is a tall, condensed font, which straddles the two themes well. Those sorts of tall, condensed faces have a very technical feel to them and convey a sense of speed, but its thickness and not perfectly straight lines lend a hand-drawn element. The icons are also well executed. They're interesting and clear, but I do think they would succeed more in a two-color approach as opposed to being all white. And ironically, they do appear in color, but only on your HUD. But the thing is, when all of these elements are put together and in motion, they don't work as well together. The menu navigation lacks a certain flow or motion, which makes knowing where you are just a tiny bit more cumbersome. The icons themselves are placed on very textured backgrounds that are so loud they overwhelm the icons. And combined with the fact that the icons are all white and repeated, it makes it very difficult to find a specific piece of gear you're looking for, or to focus on a crafting category. This is most apparent in the crafting menu, where you have multiple instances of a category with only slight changes to its icon, like a satchel for arrows versus a satchel for potions. Quickly glancing at this menu and trying to find what you're looking for stops you in your tracks. Adding a bit of color and not repeating the exact same satchel or bomb shape over and over could help with this, but overall I think this is one area where adding text could be beneficial to break things up. The menu system just needs a better visual hierarchy. All the pieces are there and the layout should work, it's just tweaking each element to fit together more nicely. Increase the type size here, add a bit of motion there. But Horizon is a big, deep game with a big, deep UI. And I haven't even touched on many aspects here like the map, status effect icons, and more. Overall, the UI is successful, polished, and shows some elegance and amazing restraint. But it's not without areas of improvement. I do wish the 2D graphics packed the same passionate punch of Aloy's world and a better aesthetic mix of the game's two contrasting themes. But I still can't wait to see where Aloy's adventure goes. And that's it on Horizon. Let me know what your thoughts are on the game in the comments. And if you like this video, share it. Zelda and Mass Effect are the next two big upcoming titles, and I'm excited to take a look at them. I haven't seen enough of either UI yet to know if I'll have a critique. I suspect Mass Effect will have a bit more complexity to its UI, but we'll have to see. Either way, you can find out what I'm up to on Twitter, and as always, thanks for watching.